Yes, ladies and gentlemen, we are back. We are on the vid source again, and we're here to talk about a couple of topics that have been breaking in this week's agenda on the basis of one of these stories being about the board backing Ten Hag post Brentford game, as well as the stories about backing him before the Brentford game. Now, read into that what you will. A lot of people have taken those reports about the board backing Ten Hag various different ways, and I'm going to give my thoughts and my verdict on these stories, basically somewhat being reciprocated with the then follow-up stories that have come after the fact of the Brentford game, which was a heroic save by McTerminator. Um, and I'm going to make sure that that's the last time I use that phrase because now man's got to be back on the watch list. But even still, the other story that broke across the last 48 hours, 72 hours, thereabouts, David Beckham involved potentially in the Qatari takeover, supporting as an ambassador. Interesting, very interesting. But this sort of came in reflection to the interview that he had done at the Formula One event, as Formula One last weekend was hosted in Qatar. So we'll get into those things. Make sure that y'all fine folks are liking, smashing a like on the video, and subscribing, and all of that lovely, lovely stuff. Thought I would cover two topical points tonight and sort of make this. It might be an extended video, it might not be, depends on how quickly or briefly I cover these topics and how direct and straight to the point I am, because I do like to sometimes be straight to the point, but sometimes I do waffle. I do waffle on and on and on and on and on. Um, that and I've got one heck of a long day tomorrow with work, so I'm going to want to get this video done sooner rather than later, and then get ready for bed because it's one heck of an early start tomorrow. But all that good stuff will come in due course. Let's not waste any more time. Let's jump straight into the first talking point, which is the board backing Ten Hag. What is going on? So, as before the Brentford game, Manchester United obviously in crisis, and to be honest with you, I don't really count us out of a crisis yet, because one win, as a lot of people are saying, papers over the cracks. It somewhat does, because there was 90 minutes we looked like a lost team, that it took one individual to score 2 goals to save us, to save our hide. So yeah, I think the situation on that forefront tells a lot of the story. It's kind of a self-explanatory situation on that front. But for me, before the Brentford game, the story came out with backing Ten Hag. A lot of people read into it and said, isn't that usually the story that comes out before the board pull the trigger? Isn't that usually what happens? To be like, oh, settle down, guys. There's nothing wrong. It's all fine. It's all fine. Get the sack ready. Put your finger on that trigger, and we'll pull it when we see fit. Now, maybe it's a case that they have to say that, or they've said that because they genuinely believe that he is the right manager, or they are saying that because, as what was it, Mark Goldbridge theorizes, is that it's to do with the fact the club don't have, or they don't want to issue a contract severance pay. Now, we've had the contract severance issues pretty much all summer with players that we are supposed to sell and not getting rid of because of severance pay problems. The kind of same ballpark with the manager if we were to turn to sacking him. So I've got to be honest, I kind of back that theory most of all, because it supports the theory about not wanting to pay off players severance pays in order to actually sell them from the club. It sounds like it's Glazonomics. Full blown Glazonomics. That to me sounds like. So I don't know what you guys think, what your perception is about the board stance on Ten Hag, whether they are just fully in support of the manager or whether you believe in something different, that the board actually would be looking at alternatives if the situation were to decline further or regress more. And I fully believe that there is a very realistic possibility and quite a major possibility that we will see regression. I believe in a few videos I probably said that is exactly what will happen. And that is just the whole image in one. You just encapsulated in one sentence. It's going to get worse. And maybe it will for as long as this club isn't sold. Um, we're looking at the situation progressively getting worse because it's the source of where this poisonous drip that's infected the whole club still hasn't been removed, so it's still continuing to drip poison and is still continuing to infect all areas of the club. So I don't know on on a factual basis what the board actually think about the managerial situation or what they plan to do. All I know is that from my perspective, it's probably if there was talk about sacking the manager, that the finances behind the action of sacking the manager would be entirely on a basis of being financially approved for starters. But that usually there's a case where maybe they're a bit stubborn. They're just like, well, we know we probably want to get rid of him. We know the situation is kind of unrecoverable, but we're going to wait until it's just beyond reasonable doubt that our manager should be sacked. Whereas I believe in the stance that sacking a manager means jack, means absolutely nothing to me. It means you get another manager in and you repeat a cycle, a 2 to 3 year cycle, that you'll end up straight in the same spot you did before. If not, you'll end up even worse. And that's what we've experienced. It's the same cycle, same process, same start, same finish, but it gradually gets worse over time. That's the process of 10 years that we've experienced and going on to 11 years now. We're like, we're in serious trouble. And I think most people out there looking from the outside in could see that we are in massive amounts of trouble. For me, if there is a way in which that these players somehow, if Ten Hag decides, you know what, I'm actually going to approach this job from a different angle again, because we're expecting one thing when he started the job, then he took a different approach to it, and it worked pretty much for most of last season and got us into a good position. Tried to do the same thing of last season going into this season, hasn't worked, so he's tried to flip the switch again. And I don't know if maybe he tried something at the start of this season, but he's just sort of trying to revert back to type. But the players perhaps are not feeling it. I don't really know. I don't know factually what is going on as to the reasons why our levels have dropped so frantically. And I know a lot of people will be saying, but we're only 3 points behind where we were at this stage last season. That to me is quite ignorant. I think I'd probably say it's more of an ignorant statement to make. That it's like, oh yeah, I've seen all of that, but I don't want to look at that. I want to look at this. I want to look at what I'm seeing in front of me right here, right now. It's like I want to look at a league table. I don't want to look at how we've got to this point in the league table. I just want to look at this and say, oh, look at the points accumulation. We're only 3 points behind where we were last season. I don't look at it like that. I look at the bigger picture, and I see everything for what it is. I see everything for what it is. Now, whether my perception on things is your warped reality, maybe, I don't know. Maybe there's a truth. It's like in war, isn't it? There's two truths against each other. One side's truth, the other side's truth. That's kind of the same viewpoints with fans, except I wouldn't call it a war because I'm not trying to involve things politically. I'm not trying to escalate things politically with relations between myself and other football fans. I'm just expressing a viewpoint, and my viewpoint on something is my truth to what I believe in, and your viewpoint on the club is your truth to what you believe in, and that's kind of the way it is. Thankfully, we don't have to, try and kill each other in order to get our truths across. Like we don't have to do that. Thankfully, we can just stick to it being expression based. Expressions, express yourself. But yeah, let me know your thoughts and your feelings about the board situating their backing on the manager, and whether you guys are in the same camp as backing the manager, or whether you guys believe in change, whether you guys believe in out with the old, in with the new, concept of, more things change, the more things stay the same, but you don't think of it like that sort of thing. Um, but let me know what you guys think in the comment section below on that matter as we go into the next point, the next status of the video that talks about the QATAR sale. Now, it was a bit of a, I suppose a lot of people may have speculated with this previously at an earlier date, a much earlier date, with the potential inclusion of one David Beckham, not as a board member, but as an ambassador to the um, Qatar bid. And there's the conversations going on at the moment about the stance on the bids, and that Qatar perhaps will eventually. I know Ben Jacobs has spoken about the sale again today, talking about Qatar still are committed to the bid. Their latest bid is still on the table. There's still not an acceptance of that bid, but that it might come to a point where Qatar actually decides, you know what, fine, we'll pay up. Maybe there is that case of, it's no secret that the value of the club diminishes with every passing day, it seems like. And the worse the situation on the pitch and off the pitch for the club, the cheaper the club valuation gets, and the less warranted the 6 billion figure asking prices from the Glazers. And would, I suppose it's one of those, which would give first? If the club valuation diminishes so badly that we sort of get into the realms of like I think it was a club valuation about 4 billion, that maybe we sort of dip to as low as 3 billions, that the Glazers openly see that and decide, okay, we'll let up on our end and we'll take that bid? Or is it that it's got to be the bidders that have to make their sacrifice on their end of the bids and their end of the deals? It's an interesting situation that's sort of coming to fruition, coming to pass. For me, with the situation, I believe that it could go either way. That the club value is diminishing, but I know with the Glazers, they are very, very stubborn people. So stubborn. And there's not really much care or intelligence behind, planning like this all out like 4D chess or anything at all. I'm not convinced of there being um, genuine intelligence. Like maybe they got people around them who are mad intelligent that advise decisions on their behalf. I'm sure most billionaires have an entire team, an entire force of financial advisors that really do sort of give all the you know the the main line. They give them the main line on all of the advised decisions that one should make with their funds, with their money. The Glazers, I say that they were pretty much more prevalent to staying with a 6 billion figure, and that it might be the case that Qatar end up pulling the trigger. Maybe someone actually gets as I don't know, bit of a shot in the dark, but maybe someone owns, well, not owes, but loans them an extra billion to get the deal across the line, that Qatar then pay off themselves off to the people that they'd loaned the extra billion from. And it would be, I think it would be straight away would be taken to very negatively by the United fan base. If there's like any mention of loan, straight away the club is just no. The fan base is like, nope, don't want you anywhere near the club. That's why Sir Jim Ratcliffe, talking about Glazer involvements, but as well as that, a part of his bid including loaned funds. So, I mean, it is what it is with those bids. I know that it's crazy money, so perhaps it is to be expected that we have a lot of these billionaires, I'd say exploring the opportunities of the actual loan, the financial loan markets as such, just to like cover costs in the short term, to which they can pay off in the long term, even though they know they have the money there. But it means that it's less money out of their pocket now in one big go, and that they pay it off over time. I know that it would be more debts that the club has associations to, although I don't believe that if Qatar were to buy the club that they would stick their debts on the club. I think because they're paying off the club's debts that once belonged to someone else, aka the Glazer family, that they just suddenly decide, you know what, we're going to load our debt on the club as well. Like, it wouldn't make any sense, including a debt payment part of your bid package. But maybe they would explore that if they are absolutely adamant, completely adamant about not increasing their £5 billion bid, or putting £5 billion on the table, that they say, well, we, from our cash reserves, we are not putting more than £5 billion in. If someone else wants to put an extra billion in to get us over the asking price, by all means, throw your hat in the ring. I don't know if that could be a potential avenue that Qatar might end up exploring, that the 9-2 Foundation may end up exploring. I'm not sure. But yeah, it's an interesting situation as far as the BECKHAM ambassador. As I said, it sort of came in response to the to an interview done on F1 during the F1 race weekend, where someone mentioned about the takeover, because BECKHAM, much like the fans and much like most people who are sort of in support of getting the Glazers out, or in the same camp as that, would say this takeover needs resolution and it needs it fast, because it's costing the club big time and it's causing problems. And I fully agree with that. I'd say, yeah, it does need resolving. And then someone, the interviewer, albeit he's not a football interviewer, he's not, he's not someone from football press, he's from Formula One press, name drops Qatar and says, what do you reckon about Qatar? He's just like, I don't know, we'll have to see. Maybe we'll have to see. And then just like that, the news goes into overdrive. The media reports go into overdrive. Crazy explosion of news, tabloids, headlines, you name it. Front pages, back pages, all of it. And then we start to get the report saying, Qatar 9-2 Foundation have openly asked David Beckham to be the ambassador of their takeover bid. I'm all for having ex-players as ambassadors, not people with power at the club where they make all the day-to-day operation decisions. I don't want that, to be honest with you, unless the person who is taking over maybe like Van der Sar, who's got experience in that line of work, then maybe I would be happy to make a compensation, or not compensation, compromise. I'd be happy to make a compromise in that. But for me, as long as Beckham's not involved with, the structural, like the power structure of the club, in the sense that he decides who United, like players United sign or sell, the team selections, the director of football decisions, the CEO decisions. As long as he hasn't got that, like, I'm all for him being the ambassador. Much like we've got a lot of other ex legends, or ex players, who used to play for the club, being ambassadors in different countries, to expanding the global outreach that the club has. Maybe Beckham becomes the face of the outreach in the Middle East. Maybe that's what happens. Maybe that's what the question is. Maybe that's what he's been asked to do. Maybe that's what it is. And I think the second part to one of those sorts of reports that came out, that I think probably, I don't know if he would do it or if he wouldn't do it, was the point where they said, do you know what? If you take over, if you become the face of our takeover bid, like our ambassador, if you can start just putting out there to the media, the press, every interview you do, speak really nice and kindly about the 9-2 Foundation, Qatar bids of Manchester United, say, look, these guys, they will take the club right to the very top. It'll do all of this good stuff. It'll be rosy in the garden. Because there's a lot of NDAs surrounding this. I doubt that that's something that David Beckham would be asked to do, or that it would be posed as a question to him. I think Qatar probably would know what they can and can't do, as they have been slapped on the wrist once already by the Rain Group, as well as Sergeant Ratcliffe's their Ineos team. They've also been slapped on the wrist with their very outspoken nature in the takeover process. Um, I know that it's very typical of the Glazers to keep everything sort of under the sheets, under the wraps, because it's a very rule to secrecy established order at Manchester United Football Club. Henceforth, NDAs in pretty much every area of the club. Literally, I wouldn't be surprised if CEO Richard Arnold's got an NDA signed to his contracts. John Murta has NDAs. Darren Fletcher, who, by the way, technical director, a man, I have not seen your face in a suit. I've not seen this guy's face in a suit taking care of business behind closed doors. I haven't seen it. So I don't know what Darren Fletcher is even doing here, to be honest. But Darren Fletcher, maybe in his contract, has NDAs. We know the manager. The managers always have NDAs. The only people that I don't think have got NDAs are the players. Maybe maybe they don't. Maybe they do. I don't know. To be honest, I don't really know if the players have NDAs included in their contracts, but I wouldn't be surprised if they do, because that's Glazonomics for you. It's literally like, without the torture, without the crimes against humanity practices or malpractices going on in the club, it's essentially like, in terms of media control or manipulation, it's like North Korea. Speak badly about the Glazers, prepare to die. Well, not die, but prepare to be punished in some way, because you're in breach of the NDA in your contract. Some G-men are going to turn up at your front door. But even so, to me, I don't know, as far as this, ambassador role for Qatar that Beckham apparently has been approached with. I don't know if he has been approached at all. We'll have to see how that situation progresses over time. But I wouldn't be against it, him being in the ambassador role. I wouldn't be against it. I'd be absolutely fine with it. I'd be cool with it, as long as I've said, as long as it's not something where he is deciding the actions of what's going on at the club. As long as he hasn't got that sort of authority, or that freedom to do that sort of stuff, then I'm all good. I'm all Gucci. I'm fine with that. So, but let me know you guys' thoughts and feelings in the comment section below. What your thoughts are about the backing of Ten Hag, the board stance on the manager's situation, as well as the squad situation, but also your feelings about the Beckham ambassador talk, that he could be involved in the takeover process or the takeover bid on the 9-2 Foundation's part. Will he be the face of will he be the face of the Qatar bid? And my camera has stopped working for some reason. Um, yeah, my camera has absolutely died. But thanks everyone for watching. Do be sure to smash a like on the video and subscribe if you haven't done so already. Would be massively appreciated. And as far as tomorrow is concerned, I'll probably have some form of an upload later on in the evening, or better yet, we probably will do something like a late night stream, just to discuss the weekend's happenings, as well as all the other topics and all that good stuff. So yeah, that's it from me for tonight. I'm going off to get myself an early night's sleep, because one hell of an early start tomorrow and a very, very long day ahead of me. So big ups to everybody. Thank you very much for watching. And yeah, we'll see you on the next one. Take care, goodbye, and God bless.